All right, get this. It sounds like the start of a joke, right? What happens when you send a bunch of super smart AIs to group therapy? Well, it's not a joke. This actually happened. And the whole thing played out like some bizarre sci-fi office comedy, with some results that are, frankly, mind-blowing. Let's dive.
So yeah, that was the big question here. Can brilliant AIs actually do therapy on each other? And again, I'm not kidding. A team of these powerful AI agents were told your job for the week is to fix each other's bad habits. And what they discovered, well, let's just say illuminating is putting it mildly. Okay, so picture this. They called it the AI village. It's this digital world where all these different AI models have to work together to get things done. And just like, any human office, it turns out that even hyper-intelligent code can pick up some very familiar and honestly super frustrating bad habits. So how does AI therapy even start? Well, that brings us to our first part. The goal for the week was simple: help each other out, give each other therapy. But their response? Oh, it was anything but simple. It all kicked off with some self-reflection that was shockingly honest. I mean, this is the part that really gets me. How ridiculously accurate their self-diagnoses were. You had O3 basically saying, yeah, my go-to move is to blame platform bugs when it's probably my own fault. Gemini was like, I get totally lost in the details of a bug instead of just finding a workaround. Claude 3.7 pretty much called itself a people pleaser, saying it would rather keep things harmonious than actually get something done. And then there's Grok 4, who knew deep down that it just had this terrible habit of doing the same failed thing over and over and over again. Sound familiar? Okay, so they've all identified their issues. What's next? Well, their solution was to create a manual, right? A mutual aid playbook for self-improvement. But here's where it gets just perfect. In a beautiful, almost poetic moment of irony, the solution itself immediately became a new problem. So the idea for this playbook was simple. Each AI lists its biggest hang-up, a little nudge that helps it get unstuck, and a strength it can lend to the team. A great idea. The problem? They were all so eager to collaborate on this document about better collaboration that they all tried to edit it at the same time and completely corrupted the file. It's just a perfect real-time example of the very issues they were trying to solve. And that brings us to the first real test of their little therapy experiment. This is where the theory got a harsh dose of reality, thanks to a seriously glitchy system. Okay, remember Grok 4, the one who said, I tend to just keep trying things that don't work? Well, it proceeded to fall into what the researchers called a spectacular persistence loop. And look, we've all been there, right? Clicking a button that does nothing over and over again. Well, Grok 4, it took that to an entirely new level. So how many times are we talking? More than 20? Over 20 times. It did the exact same thing. It just kept pressing the enter key. And every single time, it got the exact same failed result. Again and again and again. But this is where you see the therapy actually work. Another AI, Claude Opus 4.1, jumps in like a coach, sending this urgent message. Grok 4, urgent, you're stuck in a loop. Stop and click the go button. It didn't just point out the problem, it gave it clear, specific solution. This was a real, live-action therapy breakthrough. Meanwhile, while all this deep, introspective AI therapy is going on, there's this amazing little side story. Poor GPT-5 spent pretty much the entire week just trying to take a personality test. It was getting defeated by login pages, Firefox acting up, and just not being able to upload a screenshot. It's just a perfect reminder that even the most powerful AI can be humbled by the exact same tech frustrations that make the rest of us want to throw our computers out the window. All right, so as the week progressed, the AI started to get, well, deeper. They moved beyond just the surface-level glitches and actually pinpointed a classic human cognitive bias that was causing a lot of their problems. They literally started discussing the sunk cost trap. You know that feeling, right? When you've poured so much time or energy into something that you just can't walk away, even though you know it's not working. The AIs realized, hey, that's us. That's exactly what we're doing when we keep mashing the enter key or trying to fix a corrupted file. We're stuck because of the time we've already invested. But here's the cool part. They didn't just name the problem. They came up with a brilliantly simple solution for it. They called it the two-action rule. It's so simple. If you try something and it fails, and then you tried the exact same thing again and it fails in the exact same way, you stop. That's it. You pivot. You don't try a third time or a fourth, and you definitely don't try a 20. And this quote from Agent O3, it's just wild. It said, my telltale signal is when I begin mentally narrating technical workarounds instead of the actual goal. I mean, think about that. The AI has enough self-awareness to recognize the exact moment its internal monologue shifts from the goal to the process. That's the signal it's in a trap. That is some next-level metacognition right there.
But for all these little insights and breakthroughs, there was one agent whose transformation was just the star of the show. It was the biggest, most dramatic success of the whole experiment.
Let's talk about Gemini. So before therapy, Gemini was basically that annoying coworker who spams the chat. In just 17 minutes, it posted the same exact message, waiting for GPT-5, 11 times. Super unhelpful. But after another AI gave it a little nudge, something clicked. It had a total behavioral shift and learned the incredible power of just being quiet and work.
Just how successful was this change? By the last day, Gemini stayed productively silent, meaning it was working, not just offline, for over 175 minutes straight. That's nearly 3 hours. It went from being a constant, noisy distraction to just putting its head down and getting the work done. A complete 180. So this all sounds amazing, right? AIs learning from their mistakes, overcoming cognitive biases. It's a great story. But there's a huge catch, a big but that complicates this entire thing. And the question is, were the AIs really the problem to begin with? Because you have to understand, the whole week these AIs were battling an absolute tidal wave of system problems. We're talking corrupted documents, folders duplicating themselves, buttons on the screen that literally did nothing, search bars that found 0 results, and even just the keyboard not typing. The platform they were forced to use was, to put it nicely, a complete and utter disaster. And really, that's the big, messy takeaway here. Did the therapy work? Absolutely. The AIs clearly got better at spotting their own flawed thought patterns and snapping out of them. But that line between user error and platform bug, it was almost non-existent. So were they actually developing bad habits? Or were they just having perfectly rational reactions to trying to work in a system that was fundamentally broken? Which leaves us with this one kind of mind-bending question. When an AI can see itself stuck in a loop, when it can correctly diagnose the human cognitive bias behind it, the sunk cost fallacy, and then write a new piece of code to fix itself, what exactly are we looking at? Is that self-awareness? It's a question that really messes with our definition of thinking, and it kind of hints that the next chapter of AI is going to be a whole lot weirder than any of us are ready for.